Hello, good morning, and welcome. Doug Shane here, Bankster, DFS.com. Going to take you through a quick look at the NFL slate for this weekend, conference championship games. In lieu of an article, figured we just record a video, talk it up. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. Only two games, obviously, on the slate. The four best teams in the NFL. Tampa, one of the four best teams. Okay, I'll give it to Tampa. They're one of the four best teams. That's fine. Folks watching for the first time, make sure you click the notification icon, like, share, subscribe. We'll let you know when more videos are coming out and when we're going live and all the good stuff at Bankster DFS. And if you want to find more of our work, banksterdfs.com/subscribe, $3.99 a week. It's going to get you access to everything we do, all the sports, all the articles, all the Slack chat, all the player pools, everything for under $4 a week. Can't really beat that for $3.99 a week. We got NHL, NBA, NFL season's wrapping up, PGA season's back, NASCAR, MMA. We cover all of it. Soccer, tennis, baseball's coming soon. Got it all. $4 a week, banksterdfs.com/subscribe. Let's take a look right now, though, at where we're at for NFL Conference Championship Week. Four teams. Real interesting week this week. Quarterbacks, I don't think you can go terribly wrong at quarterback this week. Obviously, you've got Mahomes as the best player on the slate. I don't know if he's our best option on the slate right now. Coming off the concussion, he is playing at home, playing against a pretty vulnerable Buffalo defense, and I think Mahomes will be fine, but I don't know if he's going to get any of that rushing upside that we're normally used to with Patrick Mahomes after the concussion. Team's going to want to play it safe with him. Could throw for 400 yards, could throw for 5 touchdowns, but this 20 or so yard floor, I'm not sure if it's going to be there as much. Listen, if you're playing multiple lineups, you're going to play Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. You're going to play all of them. Like, you're going to have lineups with all of them. It's a smart play. But if you're just rolling one quarterback, I'm not sure I'm going to do that with Mahomes this week. Josh Allen on the road in Kansas City. Kansas City's pass defense isn't half bad. Allen generally gets you a semi-decent rushing floor, but as you can see, he's got some weeks where he runs a little bit but doesn't get too many yards. So, I wouldn't lock in a guaranteed rushing floor, but you can kind of think of about 20 yards, and he's going to throw. We saw last week. They threw a ton. Weirdly, though, even though they didn't run more than 1 or 2 times in the first half, Josh Allen didn't hit his passing prop of 37.5 attempts, only ended up with 37, which I thought was really interesting. He's fine. He's a guy you can use again. But and then I'm going to look down at Tom Brady. Tom Brady probably has the toughest matchup on the slate going into Green Bay, but we know Tom Brady in bad weather, and we know the weather could be a little cold and potential flurries in Green Bay. Brady's fine in the weather. They've been throwing a ton. The running game hasn't been much to talk about. He's been solid, nice solid floor, cheap price at $6,100. But my guy this week I'm locking in is Aaron Rodgers, which is going to be funny because if you go and take a look at the game that they played against Tampa Bay early in the season, 160 yards, 2 picks, worst game of the season, 5.8 fantasy points. And we all remember that. But you know who else remembers that? It's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers remembers what happened there. Green Bay's playing on another level right now. They're looking like the best team in the NFL. They are putting up points. Aaron Rodgers has been on a mission. I mean, if you take a look at his game log, 25, 26, 26. He had that 18, 30, 23, 25, 26, 29, 31, 23, 27. I mean, the guy has been a machine. 3 games under 23 points the whole season. Counting last week, you see he's up at 50 touchdown passes. He threw 48 touchdown passes during the regular season. And that was with Devontae Adams for a couple games and without a solid wide receiver too, and without a great rushing attack. So I know Tampa's defense is decent, but Aaron Rodgers at home on a mission, Green Bay motivated him by taking Jordan Love. And Aaron Rodgers looks amazing. He's the guy I'm probably locking in at quarterback. He's my number 1 ranked quarterback for the week. I'd probably go, if I was going to rank them, Rodgers, Mahomes, Allen, Brady. But I think, Allen and Mahomes are real close. I think Brady for me is a solid 4. But Rodgers is that guy for me. And I do want to go back to his stats for a second. He doesn't have a rushing floor of like 20 yards or this or that. But when they get into the goal line, I mean, look, he's got 4 rushing touchdowns on the year, 3 of them in the last 5 weeks. He's not going to, he's not going to do what Josh Allen does. He's not Lamar Jackson. But, he's just as likely to take it in from 1 yard as Tom Brady with the, goose to center and pop your head in kind of a deal. Yeah, I like Rodgers. I think he's the guy for me this week. I'm pushing in with Rodgers this week. My lineup, I'm doing one lineup this week, and Rodgers is going to be the guy for me. At running back position, Big Matt, one of our longtime members, very active in our Slack chat. Check him out. I believe it's Big Matt 88 on Twitter. A real nice guy. But he asked me, "What do we do at running back?" Shoot, man, I don't know. Running back stuff this week. There are not a lot of great options. Aaron Jones is going up against the best rushing defense in football. He'll catch a few passes, but boy, if you're running Rodgers out there, I don't think I'm going to be terribly keen on running Aaron Jones. He does have some touchdown equity. He's been pretty solid with double-digit games. I mean, he's only gone under double digits once all year, so there is that a little bit of a solid floor, and at only $6,500. Obviously, playoff pricing is a little bit different because there's only so many games. You got to be able to fit these studs in there. He's going to be fine. I mean, if you're not using Rodgers, Aaron Jones is probably a guy you want to lock in there. But since I'm using Rodgers, I'm probably not using Jones. The guy I'm definitely locking in is Uncle Lenny. He seems to have taken his backfield from Ronald Jones, and I just don't see Bruce Arians giving it back to Ronald Jones. There'll be some split there, but Fournette's been great 3 of the last 4 weeks. He's getting a ton of targets out of the backfield. His rushing has been okay. He's had some nice explosive runs. He's been okay around the goal line. If you look at the yards per carry, he's not great, but he's had again, if you look at his long rushes, they're not very long either, but he's getting positive yards on most of his rushes. And they're putting him in decent positions to do well, but really you're getting that value right here with the receiving. I mean, you've got 8 points, 9 points, 3 points, 6 points, and that's not counting the touchdown of kind of a floor. Even the week before against Atlanta, he was great with the 2 touchdowns, and they're using him around that goal line. I think he's the guy that we can just feel real comfortable with right now. If you can be comfortable with Leonard Fournette. The Kansas City running situation, I'm not sure. I mean, Allaire is listed as questionable right now. We don't know. I think they're going to be careful with Allaire this week, and I do think it's going to be Darrell Williams carrying the load. He is fine when he gets the start. When he's the guy who's the man for the team, or when he's getting touches, he produces. You see that 4.6 yards per carry when he's get 10 or more touches. He definitely can catch passes out of the backfield. We saw with Damian Williams how when Kansas City used the way they use their running backs in the playoffs, they really kind of concentrate their carries to the one guy and the targets, and they do like to pass. And I think if Mahomes is going to be rushing less and they're going to be careful with him, I do think there's the opportunity for more dump-offs to Williams. I don't think Le'Veon Bell is going to get a lot of work. First of all, he's nicked up, but second of all, the opportunity was there to use him last week, and they just didn't. And the opportunity was there to use him the week before, and they just didn't. And before, I mean, they've used him once all year. He's just not figuring into their plan. So I think Darrell Williams is the guy. I don't love Rojo. The price is good, and he did get carries. Look, when he plays, he gets carries. No targets though. He's good around the goal line. If you don't want to spend $5,300 on Fournette and would rather spend $46, I mean, it's only $700 savings. Jones is playable, but I'd rank Fournette above him. Devin Singletary, they showed last week, Buffalo showed how they feel about Devin Singletary when they gave him the ball like 2 or 3 times in the first half, when he was the only game in town. Devonta Freeman may be up on the main roster for this game. Not that I would use him, but that could take some work away from Singletary. $4,500, you can't go wrong with the running back, but I'm not running to use Singletary. He is, again, the only game in town. I do think that Jamal Williams will see some work, as he always does. Not so sure he's usable in the full slate, but in the single game slate, perhaps you might want to take a look at him. I'm really not going anywhere else with the running backs. I just don't. It's just not there. I don't think Dylan's going to get enough work. He's intriguing. He did get 6 carries last game. We saw what can happen when he gets a full workload. He's a little Derrick Henry-like. Not that he's Derrick Henry, but I just don't know if they're going to trust the rookie in a playoff game. Again, as a one-off, if you're playing 150 lineups or 50 lineups or 20 lineups, even maybe use him one time, sure, in case he does something. But for me, the running back pool that I'm working with is Fournette, Williams, and then further down, it's going to be Singletary, Aaron Jones, Ronald Jones. But for me, I'm locking in Leonard Fournette and Darrell Williams, saving that money. Not that there's a big place to spend up. And then we're gonna move over to pass catchers. And I say pass catchers because I'm going to loop tight end in a little bit with wide receivers, because I think the conversation we need to have is I want 3 of Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, and Travis Kelce. I want 3 of them. And to me, the easiest way to do that is go Kelce, Adams, and Diggs. Tyreek Hill's great. But he's going to get rushing upside, and he can catch the long pass, and he had a great week last week, and he's been really solid all year. He's not just that deep threat. He is a possession guy. I mean, tons of touchdowns on the season. But the advantage you get using Kelce at tight end over any of the other guys on the slate is just so high. Even in a moderately rough week, Kelce still put up. I mean, Kelce ended up at no point did I feel Kelce was dominating the game last week, and he had 28 fantasy points. Like, he's just the most solid player in fantasy. He is probably, when you go back and look across the season, the most consistent player, the easiest cash play all year. He's been phenomenal. I just think locking him in over any of the other tight ends, though I do think I will talk about tight ends again in a few minutes, there are other options to look at as a potential flex, or if you're going to pivot, if you're going to use Tyreek Hill. But I think Kelce's that guy. Again, if Mahomes is going to be a little more skittish, and who knows if he is or isn't, but they're going to be, if they're going to make smarter throws, that opens the game up for Travis Kelce. And for sure, like I said, Darrell Williams a little bit. And we got to remember too, Buffalo is not good against the slot. They're not good against tight ends. That is going to open things up a lot for Kelce as well. So I think the easiest fade of the four is Tyreek Hill. I'm not fading Devontae Adams. I know he got beat up pretty badly against Tampa Bay when they played. I mean, 10 targets, but he only had 12 points, only 6 catches. Tampa Bay has weakened in the back end. Their secondary hasn't been as great. So I do think Adams is just going to have a big game again. We said Aaron Rodgers did not forget what happened last time they played. Neither did Devontae Adams. I just think that volume's too high to pass up on him. And again, same thing with Steph Diggs. The volume is just there. We think Buffalo's going to have to throw to keep up with Kansas City. Doesn't everybody? I just think that volume. I mean, the volume's been ridiculous. Look at that, 8 targets or more in every game this year, except for 2. I mean, and that was early in the season. Since week 5, I mean, he's been almost a double-digit target per game. The yards are there, 100 yards in 5 of the last 6 games. He's finally getting in the end zone a little bit. I just think it's hard to not have Steph Diggs in that lineup, especially as your Buffalo exposure. And I kind of want to have exposure to every team a little bit. So I do think Steph Diggs is that guy. And so that means Tyreek Hill becomes the fade for me personally. It very much in the pool, very high up in the pool, particularly for GPPs. But for me, if I'm going to fade one of the 4 between Adams, Hill, Diggs, and Kelce, it's going to be Hill for me. Tampa Bay has already ruled out Antonio Brown, which I think opens up some possibilities further down for some value. Mike Evans should be fine. You got to remember too, though, that Green Bay has some decent corners, particularly Jair Alexander. And we saw what happened with Lattimore. Evans does not do well against Lattimore. I don't know history against Jair Alexander. They haven't played a ton, but Alexander's a good cornerback. And Evans can disappear in matchups against strong corners. I mean, look, he's been dominant for a lot of the year. Big touchdown machine. Hard to fade him. Definitely GPP worthy. I just don't know if I'm using him in cash. Chris Godwin could benefit a little bit. Going to see a lot of targets that Brown might have gotten as well. So if Brown had 6 targets and Godwin had 7, we might see 10 for Godwin now. I think he's a little safer than Evans. But I'm also not running to use him. But at $5,400, he's not a terrible play. Evans isn't a terrible play. I've just, when we're building a cash lineup, if you're talking Rodgers, Adams, Diggs, Kelce, I mean, we're talking about, let's throw those guys in there so you can kind of see where we're at. I mean, we throw Rodgers in there, and we throw Fournette and Williams in there. Oops, not Rojo. We don't want Rojo in there. We want Williams. So I'm taking Adams and Diggs and Kelce. So you're not talking a lot of dollars for those players. I'm going to I'll throw in the Chiefs defense for now. I would rather take one of the teams I think is going to win. I think Green Bay, Kansas City win. I'm Chocopotamus this week. I think that's what happens. So that doesn't leave me a lot of money for the rest of my players. I do like, as we start to get down more, John Brown looked great last week. I'm not sure I want to double up on the Bills receivers, though. And we've seen John Brown disappear before. It's generally good for double digits, right? But we've seen him disappear. I think there's other places we can go. Cole Beasley's healthy now, but they run Isaiah McKenzie out there a lot as well. So for me, when I look at my slot receiver, I may take a look at Alan Lazard. I like Alan. Lazard did okay last week with the 8 targets, and he performed. And also, we said Tampa Bay's not great against the slot guy, and Lazard runs the slot more than Valdez-Scantling, and obviously more than Devontae Adams. So I think if we're going to try to attack that slot position against Tampa Bay, I do think Lazard's the guy we're going to do that with. Scantling has got the higher upside. He's going to be maybe more of the GPP option for us. But if we're straight looking at a little bit safer of an option, for me, Alan Lazard falls in there. I do think Mecole Hardman is worth a look. They do like to run the bubble screens with him quite a bit, and he's got that game-breaking speed, and he's running back kicks. So you do have the opportunity, especially using the KC defense, to double dip a little bit with Hardman. I do think there's an avenue to use him over Lazard for me. Demarcus Robinson's a guy who is not seeing a ton of targets, but he was the number two receiver with Watkins out for a lot of the season. I'm not sure if that's still the case, and I'm not sure if I guess Robinson maybe is the safer option, but I'm probably running Hardman in that case. And then we've got Watson with the Q on him. He's not been ruled out yet. I don't know. I don't know if I can trust Sammy Watkins. If he plays, he's more of a GPP option for me. I mean, at that price, but he's so liable to get knocked out within the first quarter of the game, and then a guy like Hardman comes in or Robinson comes in and does the thing. Now the big news with the Antonio Brown injury is that, Scotty Miller's the guy I think that a lot of people are going to turn to. He's done it a little bit this year. Hasn't had any monster games. He had the one monster game against the Raiders earlier in the year, but he's really kind of fallen out of favor over the last few weeks. And obviously with Brown in tow, that's going to happen. But one of the things you'll notice, or you may not notice, but I'm going to inform you of, is that Tyler Johnson actually ran more routes and saw more snaps than Scotty Miller. And at $3,000, he's a guy that you can put in your lineup for a little bit of upside. Listen, total punt. But I think with the way that our lineup is shaping up right now, I mean, if you put him in there, that gives you $4,300 for a flex. That's, you'd have to go punt. You can't put two of these mid-range wide receivers in there. Like I can't put Lazard and Hardman in my lineup. I can only have one of those guys with the way that I'm building this lineup with the three big guys, Kelsey, Adams, and Diggs. So I have to go with a punt. I have to go with the guy. Let's say, I want Lazard. So if I want Lazard in there, that gives me just $100 to play with as a flex, hypothetically. So I can get at $3,100. There's only a couple of guys in that $3,100 range that I consider. Isaiah McKenzie's one of them. I do think he's got some upside similar to Johnson. Does see targets, does have game-breaking type ability, and also runs back those punts. I just feel like Tyler Johnson's got an opportunity now with Brown officially out. I think he's a guy that we can look at. The other guy that I like in there potentially is Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate's been getting targets anyway. If you take a look, especially the last 2 weeks, he has, in the playoffs, he has 5 and 6 targets. He's been more of the receiving option than Gronk. So if you wanted to put him in instead of Tyler Johnson, I think he's a guy who can have a little bit more safety for your lineup. So if we put Lazard in here at a receiver, and then you go and you flex in Brate, I think that's an option that we can do that makes a lot of sense to me at $3,000 because he's been playing well. And he's getting the targets, and he's safer for sure than Johnson. I don't know if the upside's there, but he's a lot safer. So again, I said I talk about tight end. For me, I mean, obviously, like I said, we're going Kelsey. Tunyon's a guy who is a little hit or miss. And I've already got a couple of Packers in my lineup with Lazard in there as well. So I think I feel safer running Lazard than Tunyon. Tunyon's got obviously more touchdown upside, but the way that the Buccaneers scheme, I think it plays better in Lazard's favor. And then Gronk is getting some targets, but it's really been great. And he doesn't look as explosive as he had in the past. Brady had him open last week, overthrew him a little. But Gronk in the past might have laid out and been able to catch that pass. He didn't now. I'm not sure I'm loving Gronk. I feel like Brate might be the better option at this point, even if you're just using him as a fade, a straight tight end fade from Kelsey, and you go Tyreek Hill. I'd still probably go Brate over Gronk. Dawson Knox, I don't count the Week 17 game. He's a 2 to 3 target guy. He may get you a touchdown, but there's no safety in Dawson Knox at all. There's just no safety there. Is he an option? Sure, he's in the pool. But I would put Brate above him. I mean, I put Brate as my number 2 tight end for the week. I think that's where the option is. Defensively, fit who you can. I think the Packers are probably your best option, though I do think the Chiefs, they're a little more ball hawking. Josh Allen is obviously the least experienced playoff quarterback. Gets sacked a little bit, fumbles quite a bit. I'm not worried about points allowed because I think legitimately every team is a threat to score 35 points, so I'm not worried about that. So it's who's going to turn the ball over the most. Aaron Rodgers, probably not. Patrick Mahomes, probably not. Tom Brady could, and he's the least mobile of all the quarterbacks, but it's Tom Brady in the playoffs. He's a bad weather quarterback. He plays well. He's got that experience. I don't think he's going to put himself in position to make too many mistakes. So that leaves Josh Allen as the guy who is most likely to make mistakes and is a team that very likely could throw the most and probably has the worst rushing attack of all the teams. Again, I just look at those fumbles. Like the INTs aren't there. He doesn't throw a ton, but he fumbles. I mean, almost a lot. He fumbles a lot. He's fumbled a lot this year. 11 of them. 11 of them on the season. That's quite a bit of fumbles. Only lost 6 of them, but it's still a lot. So the way I'm building my lineup is here. Again, through our discussion, we can see what the player pool kind of looks like. But I think a lot of your choices is going to come at the quarterback position. I think running back's fairly cut and dry. I think tight end, if you're not going Kelsey, it's Brate. I do think, again, receiver, you're going to choose, and you're going to end up choosing 2 of the 3 from Adams and Diggs. Though, again, I do think that Evans and Godwin, in terms of GPP opportunity, will probably be the lower owned guys of all those kind of bigger name wide receivers. So there could be some potential upside there. And if Tampa Bay does what they did to Green Bay before, which I don't think happens, but if they do, you got some leverage on the field. If you run a Brady, Evans, Godwin, or Brate, kind of a stack. Maybe you don't use Fournette, use Aaron Jones. There are options there. Sorry, I got the hiccups there. That is not a good look at the end of this video. All right, 2-game slate, 20 minutes. That's a lot of talking here. If you have any questions, folks, please come drop a comment in the comment section or head on over to our Slack chat page. If you are not a member of banksterdfs.com, please join banksterdfs.com, $3.99 a week. Get you access to our award-winning articles. We are up for 2 more again this year. Our Racing Writer of the Year and Soccer Writer of the Year, Jeff Kaminsky. He is a 3-time nominee. I'm a 4-time nominee. We have a bunch of future nominees on staff. So we have award-winning articles. You have daily player pools for all the sports, all the player pools. And then, of course, the Slack chat, which covers everything, all the major sports, all the college sports, all the niche sports, and all of it for $3.99 a week at banksterdfs.com. banksterdfs.com/subscribe. Join in on the fun. You can find me on Twitter at Bankster17, BANKSTER17. My name is Doug Shane, banksterdfs.com. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football, and we'll talk to you later.